Business Q&A is brought to you by iBurst Business.
Good evening, welcome to Business Q&A. Well, 2010 is around the corner and there are a number of security concerns that are being raised. I'm joined now by George Nichols, who's the CEO of Pasco Risk Management. George, thanks for joining us.
Good evening.
Of course, as I've said, 2010 is around the corner, a lot of international visitors. What are some of the concerns that you're picking up from them?
Well, international visitors may be visiting South Africa for the first time, or they may be visiting a country they don't visit that frequently. So the questions generally is what's the crime situation in South Africa? What are the do's and don'ts? Am I safe? What should I know? What shouldn't I know?
All right, those are some of the things they're asking, but when you look at the influx of people that are going to be arriving in our country and at the stadiums, do you think we have the capacity and even the resources to deal with some of those security issues?
It's a very good question, but I think the upgrades at the airports are putting South Africa in tremendous stead for a successful World Cup. So the airports are there. The stadiums are new. Some of them are world class, but the question is they're untested as yet. So when it comes to security, between now and the World Cup, there needs to be some thorough testing to make sure that they are ready for the World Cup, certainly.
How is this testing done, though?
Normally it's done in conjunction with the host city, whereby you start first of all with a risk plan. Secondly, you choose a service provider, whether it be a local one or one that's semi-state, and you work through various rigorous drills to make sure that any point in time, whatever the eventuality, the stadium and the people who are running the stadium from a security and safety point of view are prepared.
Now, you're a private security firm, if I'm not mistaken. How do you fit into the whole security theme of the 2010?
Well, I think there's a need, given on the numbers, for private firms to be involved or contribute and participate in the World Cup. And oftentimes it's involved in three areas. Firstly, supplementary to whatever the state may be doing for the World Cup, where there's overflows and gaps. Traditionally, private security people have been employed at lots of events. Secondly, outside of the official program, you'll have lots of guests, visitors from overseas who may require private security services. And thirdly, as people are entering the country, there's a need for an advisory capacity whereby people can offer advice on the do's and don'ts in country so they're safe.
Demand for your services, what sort of demand do you have?
There's a tremendous demand, particularly from overseas and some local companies, predominantly faced around we want to come here and we want to A, bring our families, or B, we want to do business. What advice would you offer us? So traditionally and up till now it's been a lot of the US and UK and European clients asking, particularly as teams qualify, countries, and we're getting phone calls from people from different countries as the teams qualify to say yes, we're coming, we need a bit of help.
Well, I'm interested though, local demand, what is it like? Do you have a lot of people here locally that are demanding these sort of services?
Yes, they do. I think it falls into two categories. You've got local companies who want to go and do things at events, and being South African, they probably know a lot of the do's and don'ts. But when it comes to running a corporate event or any type of large event, it makes sense to get good practice and best practice security advice. So I think from South African clients we do get that. And I think secondly, during the World Cup, a lot of people feel comfortable having a point of contact for liaison and advice, and so providing that service to South Africans I think is useful.
What sort of costs is one looking at if they want this sort of security?
Well, I think you'll find the cost will probably go up as demand goes up, and there are very, very few security providers in the country that are capable of offering the kind of advice and services required. But generally you'll pay a few thousand rands per day for private security services, a few hundred rands per hour for events, and maybe a few thousand rands for advice depending on the nature and extent of it.
Right, just to wrap up, we had the Confed Cup which happened a while ago. From a security perspective, what are the things that we take away from that and kind of enhance as we go into 2010?
I think the key points coming out of the Confederation Cup were preparedness, planning, communication, integration and control. And I think the big concerns coming out of that, although it was a successful event, is how well did all the working parts and all the players work together, and secondly getting people from A to B, transportation, logistics, which has a security component, were things I think can improve.
All right, thank you. That's where we'll leave it for today.
Thanks very much.
That's George Nichols, CEO of Pasco Risk Management Services. Thanks for watching.
Business Q&A was brought to you by iBurst Business.